of 10 o'clock, already up to 90 degrees here at the KRIM studios on West Frontier in Payson. This morning, time for Community Spotlight on KRIM, and as we always do on Fridays, it's time to talk with your hometown movie guys, Tina, Craig, and Andy, and they've even brought in some reinforcements. Kara's with us this morning. Came up from the valley just to, well, get out of the heat, I imagine. We appreciate you joining us here on the air on KRIM. You can also find us on Facebook, on KRIM FM's Facebook page. We're coming to you live there. We're doing a full hour on Facebook today and a half hour here on the radio. Meanwhile, Tina, Craig, and Andy, how's life?
Where's our music?
I'm sending it to you telepathically.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so life is not that good for me now because...
Well, because you have to have something to complain about every Friday.
True that.
That's right. Andy, what is it like sitting to her right?
Delightful.
Delightful. How politically correct you are.
Within easy smacking distance.
Yeah.
Just an elbow away.
But I would like to say, though, that Mr. America loves you both, and you know who I'm calling.
That sounds somewhat encrypted.
I tell you, it's cryptic.
Cryptic.
Mr. American.
Yeah, there you
Is that
go.
a superhero?
I expect him to show up in spandex next week. Although,
No, notify me so I won't.
careful what you wish for. Is that what we're saying? I also need to reach over here for my coffee before I. There we go. Before I ask Craig, how's life with you?
Just great.
Keeping you busy at the Sawmill Theaters?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know last Saturday I was there for the Classic Movies Saturday. It was great. I enjoyed watching Independence Day.
You and a few other people.
Yeah. And you know, there's a couple of people that I didn't see there, oddly, that I expected to see.
Who was that?
That would be Tina and Andy.
Oh, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
Really?
Never go.
As much
I
grief as they're
offer.
constantly giving me about not going to the theater, you know.
Yeah.
I just, paybacks and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
A hush falls over the crowd. So what do we got new starting today at the Sawmill Theaters?
I think the big one for the summer.
Really?
Black Widow.
Ooh, Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, this is kind of takes place in between Infinity War and the two Infinity War movies, I guess. Kind of some of her adventures in between those films.
Okay, and this is expected to be quite a blockbuster.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely a return of the big budget blockbuster type films, huge special effects thing. We're going 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, and the 4 o'clock is in 3D.
3D.
Which looks like that's going to be, I think that's going to look really cool.
You know, I've been amazed at where the movie industry has gone when it comes to 3D movies, because I remember, back a gazillion years ago, right after the dinosaurs died off, and you had those 3D glasses, like one lens was red and one was blue, and you kind of got a little bit of the 3D effect, but it was really, I think, in a word, cheesy.
Yeah, no, we've got, there's actually a whole different lens that goes on the projector.
Wow.
And then they still kind of have the blue and red,
right?
But there's filters that they put in front of that lens, and then your 3D glasses just look like sunglasses.
Right. And it's been, I find it very entertaining. I know with like Avatar and some other movies like that had editions done in 3D. It was almost as much fun watching the crowd as it was watching the movie, because you see people reaching out trying to touch things that aren't there.
It is definitely different. Yeah, it's a much improved 3D and.
Not the first time that's happened to you?
Reaching out for something that's not there. Yeah. Where is that anyway? But that's another story for another time. The bottom line, though, is the technology has really become amazing. Where this stuff, even though kind of way out there when you're starting to talk about some of these superheroes and stuff, make it pretty darn believable with these big budget films.
Oh yeah, no, this is Disney does a really good job with these. For the last 15, 16 years, Disney has dominated the market.
Now, what is Black Widow rated?
It's PG-13.
So this is something you could take the older kids to.
Yeah. I don't know if the little ones get into it too much, but
Yeah.
There's not going to be what they call it, sci-fi violence. A lot of explosions and things like that.
Still, you might not want to take your 6-year-old to
Nah.
freak them out and make them have that much harder to get them to bed at night or something. All right, so that's one. Is that the only movie new starting
Yeah,
today?
that's the only.
Now, you had the
thing.
new one start in the middle of this last week, didn't you?
No.
Was that the week before?
Week before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're adding movies. Yeah.
We do have next Friday, kind of a special event, Skinwalker.
You know, I have seen the trailer for that, and we have some local folks that
Yeah.
are in this movie.
Yes,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
part
they
of
are.
a series of movies. They're doing so many in a year or something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure if that's actually part of the 12 and 12
Months.
12 months. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's
I thought
part
maybe
of that one.
But it looks, I mean, the trailer looks really good.
Yeah, this is just a one-time thing. Next Friday night, 7 o'clock, just $5 to get in. And we got the Oxbow outfit is going to be there, all dressed up in their Western gear and stuff. And,
Okay.
yeah, so it should be fun.
You know, I have to just be transparent, because when I first heard that, you know, local folks are going to actually be in this movie, and there's some of these people that do these reenactments and stuff like that with old period costumes from the 1800s. I thought, well, this will be interesting, you know, to see local people, but I was really kind of expecting, you know, maybe not a whole lot. And the trailer looked epic.
Yeah,
It looked like really well produced and,
Well, you know, we got a couple too. September 3rd, we're going to be doing the Pleasant Valley War.
right?
Whoa!
Yeah, that's kind of a.
Dude.
Now, in three-part harmony.
Oh, yeah, no, seriously, that is such a story.
Who
Oh,
directed?
Pleasant Valley War, yeah.
Oh, my
Who
word.
directed?
Yeah.
That's Trevor.
He did? Oh,
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
great. I was, oh, boy, oh,
Now,
boy,
when,
oh, boy,
when's
oh, boy.
that coming?
We're doing that September 3rd. Actually, we're going to do that one for a full week.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa.
Well, with the local interest in that one, I
Oh,
think
man,
that should.
that is
I think
such
that's worth a week
a
run.
story.
And well,
Yeah.
and like the old, what's The Last Man? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's and the last person to die in that Pleasant Valley War. That whole story of how that was pulled off is pretty epic in and of itself. Let
Well,
alone
the only thing pleasant about that is the name. It was really awful.
yeah, that was pretty bloody war.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to come out when?
It's September 3rd.
September 3rd.
Yeah, so
Wow.
a little bit on that one.
And this is the same guy that did Powers War.
Is it? No, different Trevor.
Oh, different
Yeah,
Trevor?
different Trevor.
Oh.
Yeah, yes.
Oh.
You know what, he was going to, he
Yeah.
was talking about doing one, but I don't think he ever got around to
Somebody
getting
beat him to
finished.
the punch.
Yes, yeah.
Well, Phil.
Well, I tell you, whoever's doing this movie that's going to be featured this week, I mean, pretty amazing. Again, all I've seen is the trailer, but it was much more than I had anticipated.
Yeah, it looks
And
good.
I'm not
Looks
really,
good.
I'm not really one for, you know, for horror movies. I've just seen too much horror already. But I have to say, after watching the trailer, I think I'm going to have to go check this out. It looks pretty interesting.
You're actually going to go?
Oh, you're going to give me crap about going to the movies again? Come on,
No.
I'm here all day long. You're only here for an hour.
I'm
really.
wondering if I could do penance. Right? And actually go when you're there.
Oh, okay.
And then go, I'm here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I may just have to go hide in the corner. I felt like no one loved me on Saturday, and I was really
Well,
quite
there you
dejected. So this last week, though, you had moving right along, and boy, golly, don't you think we ought to? This last week, you had a couple of pretty big name movies that started out. Have they been doing well?
Doing okay, yeah. You know, we still got F9, you know, Fast and Furious.
Right? You're
It's,
just calling it F9 now.
F9, yeah.
All right.
It's
Oh.
it's just a silly, fun movie with a lot of action and things blowing up and.
And how many bucks did they spend on this?
What do you got, Andy? A couple hundred?
Yeah, 200 million.
200 million or so. I guess we're probably looking at Black Widow in the same range, 200 to 250 million.
Wow.
Black Widow, that was supposed to come out actually originally May 3rd
But
of
because of the pandemic?
2020. Yeah.
Oh, of 2020.
Of 2020, yeah.
Well, so this has been sitting on the shelf for a while.
14 months, yeah.
Ouch.
So she looks younger than she actually is. I'm sorry, that's a chick thing to say,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, she's actually, I just read the other day, she's expecting a child.
Oh,
Yeah.
good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
yeah.
And so, Kara, now, how did you get roped into being here with Tina and everybody today? Did you do something wrong? Or?
Actually, Tina's one of my very best friends, maybe my BFF.
Wow.
And so I partially came up to here to escape the heat, but mostly to spend time with this chickie here.
Wow. So
I know, I'm a
did you
little
do
crazy.
something wrong?
Always.
Ah, okay.
And you know, my husband's out of town, cause.
Oh, okay, so when the cat's
yeah,
away,
yeah,
yeah, all right, I got you.
So, you know, we're doing chick stuff. So,
Yeah.
very fun.
Film at 11. Interesting. Now, Andy, when it comes to some of these movies that started this last week, did you get to the theater this last week at all?
Oh, absolutely.
And while there, did you watch
I
a
go
movie?
week after week after week after week after week,
Ah.
regardless whether something I want to see or not.
Polishing the halo.
You know, I saw Spirit recently.
Right.
With Spirit Untamed, which was about a girl and a horse, and that's all it was about. But I watched it, and you were safe down there in Toronto Basin.
I was watching
tending
girls and
your,
horses down there.
tending your vines.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. tending my sand and rock. It takes a lot of maintenance, to keep that stuff from getting dirty.
Yeah, but I saw Fast and Furious 9. By golly, there's a lot of stuff going on in that one.
Not too hard to see how you could spend $200 million, as many things as they have flying through the air. I mean, that's got to be an expensive movie to
Yeah,
produce.
I think once you get to a certain point, the money just sloshes around and they don't really know where it goes.
Well, I wish they'd slosh some this way.
It's like the federal government. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
more champagne, anyone?
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
Well, and again,
There's one of Tina's favorite movies is Bowfinger, and there's a great sequence in that where the producer is just bludgeoning the staff, the actors and the other the people that are
The
helping
crew,
make the crew,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
about being just really tight with the nickel, tight.
Yeah.
Can't spend any money and then he goes. Last time you see him, he's taking his golf bag to a helicopter to be helicoptered off to the golf
And that's
course.
Steve Martin. Steve Martin starred in it and wrote it. And seriously, thank you for giving me credit for loving such a great movie.
Yeah.
It really is a great movie. And have you seen it?
I don't think you
not.
should encourage her at all. The name of the movie was what?
Bowfinger.
Bowfinger.
And it's got Eddie Murphy playing two parts in it, and he seriously should have gotten the Oscar.
I'm pretty sure that I've heard of this movie, but that's it.
Well, yeah, she talks about it all the time, dude.
I
Yeah.
do.
Oh, I knew I heard it sometime. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
But that's what, a decade and a half ago?
Oh,
Longer than that.
Last
yeah,
century.
yeah. And then the great Terrence Stamp and he plays the head of an organization that is snarkishly modeled after Scientology.
Snarkishly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's called Mindhead,
Hello.
right? Mindhead it's so funny. I mean, they walk around with the little tinfoil hats and it's a great movie. Yeah.
Gotta figure out what
I
to do
see
with
that
this
you're
one.
really in charge of the technology here.
Yeah, apparently everyone else has left the building.
Right, yeah.
So,
Anyway,
Anyway,
the
yeah,
point I was
that
trying
was
to
a
make
segue.
Right.
is
Yeah.
sometimes in the movie business, they spend an awful lot of money making a movie, and some of it goes awry.
Right.
And I would not be surprised with a $200 million movie, that some of that movie didn't just, where'd it go? Hell, I don't know, but boy, weren't those canapes just delicious?
Waterworld was famous for that one.
Oh,
man,
God,
They went
Waterworld.
way over
Kevin
budget.
Costner, right?
I guess the
and I'm sorry, but that movie wasn't very entertaining.
It was
I
awful.
liked it.
I liked it.
Oh, Craig.
Hey, real quick, before I forget, we need to say good morning to Cindy, Nicole over there from Black and Tan is watching on
Nicole, we
Facebook.
love you.
Also, Pauline, Rick, Helena, and Alina, and Mark all watching us on Facebook Live. So thanks for joining us there. And again, we're going to be with you for the full hour on Facebook Live. So join us there. Meanwhile, now, what was the other big movie that started last week? Wasn't there two?
There were two. The Purge.
Oh, The Purge.
I don't know if I'd call it yeah, it actually came in third, I think, nationally.
Right. And this is that movie about once a year, everybody can just kind of go nuts and kill and hurt each
Yeah,
other.
kind of I guess a utopian, I don't know if you call it utopian, but
Maybe the opposite.
Dystopia.
well, there's no violence or crime or anything for 364 days out of the year, and then one day everyone just gets to let loose and kill and murder and blow things up. And,
That sounds nuts.
That's
But-
my
But I can see where, in this day and age, people could kind of enjoy watching that kind of idea,
Yeah, it's
especially Tina.
it's actually the fifth one. So there's a
Really?
yeah. They've
So
done
now they have
of these.
5 days?
No, oh, they've
This is over the course of 5 years, apparently.
no 5 different movies. 5 movies.
Ah.
Wow.
So it's
I did not
I guess it has a following. People like to watch it.
Isn't the current one about a permanent purge or something?
Yeah, the concept, they don't stop purging. They decide that after 24 hours, they're just gonna continue.
Nuts.
And
Permanent purge?
Permanent purge, yeah. It's a terribly political film.
Yeah, it's quite a bit like Afghanistan right now.
But yeah, it's just, the basically the whole country ends up burning, and so
Right.
they're trying to say something. I don't know what.
So how is, yeah, we're afraid to find out.
And this is a good time to talk about movie ratings.
Yeah.
Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson is rated PG-13, which is, a mildish rating. And there's lots and lots of violence in this, but it's all kind of, movie violence.
Mhm.
The Purge, on the other hand, is real gore. And there's a term of art, gore porn.
Yeah.
So, if you like to see people, for instance, we saw a movie recently where a guy was strapped to a contraption, and he had to fess up, or his fingers would be ripped out by a machine, one at a time.
Great fun at parties.
Yeah, that's, I would count that as gore porn.
Yeah.
And maybe this one too. But
Slash sick
But when
twist.
you see a rating R, geez, don't take the kids to that, okay?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, like really pay attention. Because to me, what is R now is probably what used to be X.
Probably.
I
yeah.
mean, really. it's
By the way, good morning
severe.
to Smee, John, Sherry, and Kathy also joining us on Facebook Live. Appreciate it.
Those ratings are kind of they're kind of weird. You can say you get a PG-13 film and you can drop one F-bomb.
Right.
Two, I mean, it's very important. Sometimes you might want a PG-13 rating. So they're trying to, they have to cut a little bit out here, cut a little bit out there, to try to get underneath those.
Yeah, so you have a wider market.
Yeah. We got some that are real borderline. Talking about Eddie Murphy, was it Norbit?
Oh, yeah.
Norbit was PG-13.
Yeah.
And it was,
Yeah.
it was like,
It should have been R.
yeah, I think so too, and it was a PG-13, and we ended up where we had to warn people, look, this is PG-13, but you're gonna see, but.
Well, that's the bottom line.
But at least it's not full. It's not full of nudity.
Now, by the way, Tim is watching and for some reason put up Forgetting Boss Baby.
Oh, yeah, Boss Baby was,
Baby
yeah.
too, right?
Boss Baby was the other, the big animated one that came out last week.
Right.
Very popular, PG, by the way.
PG.
So suitable for.
Almost G?
For Grandma.
Yeah, well, and for the little ones too.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Tim.
Nothing really untoward in that movie.
Now we got a couple, Boss Baby 2 and Peter Rabbit. So we
Okay.
got two PG ones for the kids that are good for the little ones.
Boss Baby 1, as I recall, had enough interesting humor in it to keep the adults present laughing. And I appreciate that, when you're forced to watch movies that you might not normally watch on your own with your grandkids or something like I do in my case, I like to at least find something that's entertaining, and I think Boss Baby fills that ticket.
Well, Shrek, I think, was the one that kind of really
Set the stage.
broke into that one where they were, throwing innuendo and stuff in there that, like you said, that
May or may not fly over the head of something.
Yeah, exactly. That they kept him on that PG rating, but the adults understood what they were saying.
Right. By the way, good morning
Another-
to Patty and Sean as well. Thanks for joining us.
Another Eddie Murphy movie, I think that's the third one we've mentioned so far this morning.
Yeah.
I have to say, I really have enjoyed every Eddie Murphy movie that I've ever watched.
You gotta watch both.
With the exception of
Yeah.
that Coming to America, or whatever it was called, that one to me was a little iffy. I didn't really enjoy that one as much as some of the, I'm thinking Beverly Hills Cop and some of those that I thought were just outstanding.
Trading Places.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. But really
Trading
both,
Places, I think, is a genuine classic.
it's great, yeah.
Really.
But really both fit
Dan
together
Aykroyd.
because, like I said, he plays two parts.
Right.
And each character that he plays is so perfectly 3D outlined in the script and the
Well, he did
acting.
it with the Nutty Professor. Where
Oh.
he did
Yeah.
five
Yeah.
characters, six
And
characters.
all sitting around the
Yeah.
table. That was, and there was
Right.
some funny stuff, even even a few flatulent, funny moments and all of that. But
Those are always funny.
I actually thought it had a little hard edge for little kids, that
Yeah,
remake of the
yeah.
Nutty Professor, having been a fan of the original.
Right.
And
Well,
when
just
that
tell them to
came
go
out-
watch Blazing Saddles instead.
Yeah, I think my son was 3 or 4 when that
Wow.
movie was out, and I had assembled him and a couple of his friends to watch the new version of the Nutty Professor,
Uh-oh.
and I didn't think it was appropriate for their age.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
Yeah.
not quite the same as the original Disney thing.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
It's a different day and age these days. Well,
Yeah.
you know, and I look. Of course, I'm going to need to be carbon dated soon. But I look at like my grandson, who is now 10, and I believe by the time he was a year and a half, he pretty much knew his way around an iPad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a whole different world right now. I mean, back then, I you know, at that age, you know, for me, I had a sandbox and some Matchbox cars, and that was, you know, that was wild fun. But
Well, just a segue, because of the T-shirt I'm wearing,
right,
is
more Shakespeare.
yes, read more Shakespeare. Remember, this old boy was the star of his day. He wrote what were essentially the blockbusters of his day, and a lot of his stuff was really, really edgy, and that's why people have to pick and choose when they were actually teaching Shakespeare in high school, and who knows if they still are. But when I was teaching high school, we taught Julius Caesar because it was one of the few plays that we could actually pick where there wasn't sort of X-rated stuff in the script. You know,
Wow.
so you know, even then, right? Now everybody, of course, I mean, they brought the kids, they brought the tomatoes. You know, I mean,
I don't know that they're teaching Shakespeare in school these days. I think they're just teaching them the Shakespeare's.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird stuff.
Yeah, but I taught Julius Caesar, and it was amazing to, you know, and the other thing, here's, you know, like author's message. A lot of people, they taught Shakespeare by reading it. I'm like, dude, it was a play. It was designed to be produced. You need to see the play. You need to study the lines that relate to people as you're watching this performance. So I always had, you know, I showed Julius Caesar with Marlon Brando.
You know what we should do is we should come up with a group of people that would be willing to act out some Shakespearean plays.
Absolutely.
I think that is what I mean.
Yeah.
We don't have anything like that going on in Payson that I'm aware of.
No, I
That-
know.
I mean, culture. Wow. Who'd have thunk it?
And remember, Gershwin wrote that great song, Brush Up Your Shakespeare, start quoting him now.
Oh, there you go.
Brush up your Shakespeare and the women you will wow.
Ooh.
Start quoting
Note
a
to self.
fella, and they'll think you're a hell of a fella. Brush up your Shakespeare and they're all kowtow.
All right.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. We need some. There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the little people.
And you know, and remember, Gershwin was, you know, there were people who did Gershwin movies back in the day, the
Right.
musicals.
See, when was that song written?
Oh, the 30s?
Long time ago.
30s.
Wow.
I'm
The
not,
30s.
not sure how many
Gershwin,
are
yeah.
impressed with
Gershwin.
Shakespeare now.
Yeah, well, too bad.
No, but I think it would be kind of cool to get some
Yeah.
plays going in the
Yeah.
country here. I think, and there's bound to be a lot of people that have a wonderful background in that would.
Well,
you
we
know,
need to talk to Kathy Seiler, who
That's-
is, I mean,
She's
oh,
the queen of
she
the
walks
stage.
on water, as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned.
I agree.
Yeah, she's.
And her late husband was a great
Oh,
guy
my
too.
goodness, yeah,
They definitely know the theater.
right.
All right, so now
But getting back to the
Movies.
flatulent jokes.
because we
I wish there-
don't
there-
have nearly enough of those.
There are a lot of those in Shakespeare, by the way.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah,
I think your phone's ringing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think.
But you know, we every once in a while we'll bring this up, and they never get old. I
Right.
mean, they are always funny. And if you go back to the live theater that they had back in Rome,
Mhm.
which of course they didn't have any choice. They didn't have TV back then,
Right.
as you well recall.
Oh, yeah, it was a dark time.
But they would tuck a pig bladder under their cloak
Right.
and then hit it with their arms.
They had prehistoric whoopee cushions.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know, a big, loud fart joke. And,
And they didn't have fake blood then. They had
the real blood, yeah.
Yeah.
But even back 2,000 years ago, they were digging the fart jokes.
And our apologies to any of you that just happen to be eating breakfast right now. Nonetheless, now we have to take a quick break here, and we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music on the radio, but we hope you'll continue to join us as Tim has Merlinda, Brandy, Dee, Stacy, Sean, and a bunch of other folks on our Facebook Live page. Just go on Facebook and look for KRIM FM, and you'll find us there. We're going to keep on talking about probably flatulent jokes, who knows. But at any rate, right now on the radio, though, we're going to get you back to more of your favorite music. Have some tunes coming up from Bruce Springsteen, Dire Straits, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather, and I'm going to take my lips out and smack them against the wall.
Well, we can continue talking about ratings and.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's
good,
good.
yeah.
Okay, so, and let's do that. Now, when it comes to ratings, boy, you know, I look back at, like, when I was in high school, Elton John, in his very early years, came out with the soundtrack to a movie called Friends. And this is pretty early in his career. And I remember seeing that in high school. I don't know if they were supposed to allow me into that theater or not, but they did, at Tower Plaza, 36th Street and Thomas Road. But that was the first time where there was some girl parts that I had not been directly exposed to like that quite before, and I thought, wow, this is cool. But I don't remember that being an X even back then. I think it was an R. So you know, our rating system has maybe changed a little bit, but not perhaps a whole lot when it comes to the sex end of things, I think.
Well, there was the Hayes Commission back in the day, you know, when Mae West was around, when the Marx Brothers, when W.C. Fields, and there were very, very strong restrictions, which those guys always got around by double entendres and innuendos. And, you know, the famous line of Mae West, you know, is that a pickle in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me?
Oh, wow.
I mean, jeez. But, yeah.
Gone with the Wind. Frankly,
indeed.
Scarlett, I don't give a damn. And
That was big
that was
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a big scandalous moment back then. But that was also 1930s.
39.
39, yeah.
Was it 39?
And
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's boy, there's not much that isn't said these days.
Yeah. Well, we had
Well,
go ahead.
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. I've been kind of shocked by what I've seen on TV and prime time.
Oh, yeah.
The last decade,
Yeah.
2.5 Men, Mom, you know, shows like
And that's
that.
just the news.
That's
Yeah.
it's very explicit
Yeah.
sexual content.
Yeah.
I mean, the language they keep kind of tame, but the references are clear.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are things that young kids have access to.
Yeah, and meanwhile, prime time, you're sitting around with your kids or your grandkids in front of the TV, and you know, the term boob tube takes on a whole other meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that's kind of hard to swallow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was early 80s when we actually added the PG-13 rating. You know, it was just PG and R.
Right.
Right.
G, PG, and R.
Right.
And then a lot of that was Spielberg, you know, kind of pushing the envelope with, you know, Indiana Jones,
Sure.
Jaws.
Right.
You know, Jaws was rated PG. Yeah.
The opening sequence is
Sure.
enough
Oh,
to
sure.
cause, you know, permanent
Right.
damage for
Well,
life.
here's one of the things I find really interesting about Jaws is now, still to this day, they'll have like beach parties with a big screen up on the beach, and you know, projector and sound system and everything showing Jaws, and everyone is out in the water watching the movie. It would be, if you had, like, you know, scuba gear and you were down on the water grabbing people's feet or something, you could have a lot of fun, or get the wee ones kicked out of you.
People is weird.
Yeah, people can be.
Yeah.
It was in the movie, wasn't it? Those kids had a fin and they were swimming around.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great fun at parties. By the way, good morning to Naomi. Tim is still with us, and Mary's with us. And hey, Rick Quigley, how you doing, buddy? At any rate, when it comes to ratings, well, I mean, what's your opinion then? I mean, are we getting stricter? Are we getting looser? I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like there's been, you know, in the last 10 years, hasn't been a whole lot of change that I've been able to discern anyway.
Well, like Kara said, you know, I think they're, you know, maybe a little bending of the rules. You know, they're finding ways around these. You know, because there are certain criteria that you have to look at on these ratings, and they, you know, they know, they can kind of twist things and get around them in different ways.
And this started in the 80s?
Oh, God. Well, I don't know.
Well, the
Sorry,
Hayes
probably
Division
before that even.
was back in the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in the 60s or the 70s that there was a Supreme Court case, I think, and they kind of said that, you know, it was unconstitutional to prevent more freedom of speech, artistic expression, I think.
You know, I'm not
And
sure
I'm
when the
real hazy
you know,
about that, but
it's the
yeah.
MPAA rating system.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
I'll have to Google that and see when that actually
Yeah.
when they actually started that.
But I remember, you know, think about, we talked last week, you know, car movies, Bullet.
Steve McQueen, yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, you know, of course, the chase, you know, is the best car chase that I think has ever been on film. But a lot of the stuff in that movie is really edgy. I mean, you know, like, very graphic, yeah.
Hmm.
So, and not just violence, I'm talking sexual,
Right.
yeah.
It's, I don't know, to me, I go back to what Kara was alluding to a little bit ago, and that I find it difficult to find programming on television nowadays at prime time that I'm comfortable sitting and watching with my grandkids. It's just, and it shouldn't ought to be like that. I don't know, maybe we ought to have, you know, G-rated TV channels and or PG-rated TV channels.
1968 is
68?
when it started, the Motion Picture Association,
Okay.
the rating
Yeah.
systems.
Okay, yeah. That
I
makes
don't know.
sense. Because that was kind of an offshoot of the crazy baby boomer, I'm still doing penance for my part in that generation, you know, that just kind of blew everything up. You know, what's the line? What are you protesting? Well, what do you got?
What do you got? Yeah.
Right?
Marlon
That's
Brando.
just Marlon Brando, right? Yeah. And that was kind of the lead-in to anything goes.
You know, well, Disney's always been kind of a you know, a PG type studio.
Mhm.
That was kind of their niche, and that's still you know, I mean they merged with Fox now and everything,
Right.
but an R-rated Disney film.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done that yet. In other words, because they wanted to keep that at PG too. That was just kind of a later thing where it went to
Mhm.
PG-13. See, because they got that problem with they have Deadpool now. You know, Deadpool is part of the Disney franchise.
Right.
Well, that'd be kind of a hard one to adopt.
Yeah, definitely are.
Yeah, yes, yeah. And the problem there is if you're going to put Deadpool in some of the, you know, mix Deadpool in with the Avengers or, you know, something along those lines, do you go R-rated on that or do you stay PG-13 or?
Well, then the question
Monitors,
also is,
lips.
if you're rating things according to kind of current trendy situations, so let's say you have a transgender or you have a homosexual relationship, you know, is that going to be rated more strictly? And maybe not, because everybody thinks it's so woke to, you know, to just have everybody exposed to that. I mean, it's good for you. And, okay, I have an edge to my voice, I need to stop.
She's now woke. By the way, good
I'm
morning.
awake.
Good morning to Stephanie, Gretchen, LaDon, Ronnie, I think it's either Tata or Tata, and Jessica and Tim with us. Appreciate you joining us on Facebook Live.
Yay.
Well, there's you can kind of imagine the difference in movies from the kind of the calmer, more benign era. In The Pride and the Passion, the great epic in the 50s,
Mhm.
there's a scene where Sophia Loren is bathing in a pool. And you know,
Sophia
imagine Sophia Loren, you know, 16 feet tall, swimming en natural in a pool out in the woods, and everybody.
Not hard to do.
All the guys in the movie are just, their eyes are all big and trying to stare through the water. But
And the women are all doing one of these numbers.
but you don't, you know, you never really get to see anything that you shouldn't. But these days,
Right.
you know,
And I think
that
really,
she would come just explode out of it like
Right.
like a great white.
and I think really the things being just a little bit more concealed adds more allure than just the blatant,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. But it's I don't know. I think we still need to be a little more creative in
Back
how
to
we do it.
Gershwin. In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked upon as simply shocking. Now, heaven knows, anything goes. And that was the 30s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prophetic.
Who doesn't like show tunes, huh?
I'm all over it.
There you go.
I have so many memorized. It's a terrible thing. My brain is full.
So, Kara, I mean, did you go to movies with your BFF here much?
Not much. I haven't been to many movies recently.
But we've
Last
watched stuff
couple
on
of
TV
Oh, we
together.
do.
If you were
We
gonna,
watched the Boondock Saints together.
oh, wow,
Yeah.
we all have our guilty
And I mean,
pleasures.
that's really out there. Yeah. Yeah. That's
So, if you were gonna, Kara, just because we've got new meat here, and we don't get a chance to talk like this too often.
Put her on the spot.
If you're gonna pick like best 2 movies of all time in your opinion,
Oh my goodness. Well, we were talking about one of them before. John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, Pulp
Pulp
Fiction.
Fiction. Ooh.
Yeah,
We,
yeah.
it's both of our guilty pleasures. We like Quentin. And I said, because we're driving over here. and I said,
Tarantino he's got a
yeah.
pretty good talent. That
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
I love it. People are like, no, I
There's a
love
certain
it.
edginess to his.
You think?
I'm trying to think. I don't know what the right word is that I can use that
Yeah.
has more than
Okay, so
4
that's
letters. but
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Others that you like so that I can watch them.
Okay. God. Trying to think
I
of
know.
names now. The Assassin movie with the French
Oh,
actor.
yes,
Gary
Leon,
Oldman.
Leon,
The Professional.
The Professional.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of my top 10 as well. See, this is why we're
Fe-
friends.
feature-
Right.
Featuring
Natalie
Natalie Portman.
Liz
as-
was 12-year-old
as a
Natalie.
child.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was great. Yeah, and I just recently acquired a DVD at a thrift store that turns out to be the director's cut. And there's a lot more in it. And that was made by Luc Besson, who
Mhm, Our
made
favorite.
your favorite, the Fifth Element.
Wow.
With Quentin Tarantino, I think you're looking at that and tied into an article I read this morning, but he's one of these directors that still really cares about his films. I think
Yeah.
they're important to him. I was listening to him talk the other day, and he said he puts so much effort. Because he's only done 8 movies, and he wants to do 1 more, and then he plans on quitting. And it's just because he puts so much of himself into it. And the article I read this morning was it was from the old CEO of Paramount Studios, and he said they used to make movies because they cared about them and they wanted them to mean something and have the directors and everything put something into them. And now with all these streaming services and this just gluttony of product out there, it's not so much the meaning. They're just kind of putting out product, trying to fill all these slots that they have
Well,
now.
he also makes movies that are unique and creative. The stories are not, rehashed of something.
No,
I mean, I'm
no.
thinking of Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an amazing
Well,
movie.
kind of a retelling of history there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making
when I look
history
at-
better.
Yeah.
When I look at movies
well,
like-
like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Oh,
making
yeah.
history better.
When I think of like The Fifth Element, though, I don't even remember a whole lot of what the movie was about. I just remember the one gal in there is pretty darn hot.
Yeah.
And
What's
I
her
don't know
name?
what that's a sad statement about me.
She's your girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jovanovic.
Mila Yo.
Sure.
Jovanovic?
Yeah.
Yo
Yeah,
Yo
but who cares, man? She holds up so well.
Oh,
She
yeah.
is, I don't know how old she is, but she doesn't age.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
done quite well.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as we need to go with that.
And Bruce Willis is still alive too.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And
Has he done anything lately?
Sure, he does stuff
Sure,
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
But one of my
Really?
favorites of
Yes.
his, going back a little bit, is The Whole Nine Yards.
Oh, yeah.
With Matthew Perry and Rosanna Arquette
Oh, Rosanna Arquette.
and Bruce Willis playing a hitman. And what's her name? Oh gosh. Anyway,
No, she's not in it.
Yeah, she is. That's again a unique story. It's fun. It's creative. It's not a rehash of some stupidity. Very good.
And it's always fun to see gangster movies set in Canada because they're so nice up there. You don't think of them having gangsters.
Yeah, he's a Canadian.
You are
dentist,
from
right?
Canada, not you are?
These are good Bruce Willis films, though. But
Yeah.
Bruce Willis is one that's taken to doing these, straight to Redbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
films, and Sylvester Stallone's doing them,
Yeah.
Val Kilmer's doing them.
Yeah,
Where these guys, they get paid $1 million to make a movie. They're on set for maybe 3 days.
right.
A pretty. I mean, there's nothing to the film. They're not good movies. They're watchable and they're
Yeah.
just
Right.
time consuming. That's about it.
You know, I read an interesting article this morning on Kurt Russell, and
Oh.
the fact that he had these, big Disney contracts as a kid,
Yeah.
and was in a lot of different movies and shows, and then all of the other stuff that he's done as an adult, and some of the movies that he's performed in. The guy's got a net worth well over $100 million, and lives a pretty interesting, somewhat normal life, and likes to go out hunting, and
Yeah.
it seems like
Still with Goldie Hawn.
yeah.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't stick with Goldie Hawn?
Oh.
But I mean, it's nice to see that occasionally there are some of these really mega movie star people that are pretty normal.
Well, he had that
relatively
whole,
speaking.
he worked with John Carpenter, who's
Snake Plissken.
my alter ego, right? I would love to be Snake Plissken. I mean, even if I had to lose one eye. So,
I apparently have led a
love
sheltered
him.
life.
Yeah, see, this is why we're
Straight
buds,
from New
right?
York.
Are you transitioning?
Hey,
that I
by the way, Tim-
Probably.
Tim says straw dogs and scarecrow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
well,
familiar
a
with Straw
secret
Dogs.
penchant for violence. Straw Dogs is Sam Peckinpah.
Really?
Oh. And I mean, that's gratuitous violence.
Right.
And I like it. Right?
It's one of those things you have to judge for yourself.
And the other one was
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, who's in that?
But that was Pacino. Yeah.
Yes.
And an actor
Yeah.
by the name of Richard Lynch, who was especially brutal in that film.
Oh,
Ooh, it was
Good-
nasty.
good
There was
name,
a
right?
nasty
Yeah.
scene with him.
yeah, yeah. Gratuitous violence is good.
Right.
When's Dune coming?
Dune is October.
I can't wait.
Is that really the Frank Herbert? It's
Yeah,
a-
oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
guess,
I
guess who
can't wait.
plays the Beast Raval?
Tell me.
I don't know him.
How do you spell that?
There's a lot of A's there, I think. I'm not sure.
Drax the Destroyer.
The wrestler guy. Let's see.
Is it
I
The
know.
Rock?
No, it's not John Cena. It's not The Rock.
Ah.
I went blank too.
Obviously, we spend a lot of time watching professional
All I can
wrestling.
think of is Roddy Piper, and he's dead.
Oh no.
Right? And he was in They Live, well, also one of my favorite John
Right.
Carpenter movies. Probably my favorite.
Have somebody send that to us.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
played Drax the Destroyer?
Yeah.
In
Look it up, quick.
Ooh,
As a matter of fact,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Tim also says, and Hackman.
Who?
What?
Hackman.
What, Gene
Oh, Gene
Hackman?
Hackman. Yeah.
David Batista.
That's right.
Oh,
David
Batista.
So which one of
Yeah.
those movies was Hackman in? Straw Dogs or Scarecrow?
Scarecrow.
Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardest working man in show business for a number of years.
He
He
is.
was
I mean, for
making
decades.
movies a
Yeah,
year.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's great.
Interesting.
Boy, has he done a lot of good stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Quite a body. of work.
All the way back to the French Connection.
Yeah.
Now, is he still around?
Yes.
Is he? Has he been in anything lately?
I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
he's semi-retired.
Yeah.
I think we looked him up recently, and he hadn't done much in the last
He's
few
just
years.
been sitting in his counting
I
house,
think
counting out his
I
money.
think he's in his 80s now or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah,
So
But
he's
you go
got-
back to the
I
French
think
Connection.
he's allowed to
I
retire.
think, yeah.
No, you keep working. Yeah.
If you go back to the French Connection, that's another great car chase.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
absolutely. one of
That's
the
a,
best.
that's a classic
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That goes back a ways. I believe I've even seen that one.
No.
So, we got anything
Now,
new? sir?
how does that compare to the car chase with the helicopter in Hobbs?
Oh.
Well, I mean, if you can just skip reality.
Physics.
Well, that's what movies are.
Physics.
That's what movies are
That's what I
about,
said.
though,
That's
right?
it. Fast and Furious is in a different universe where physics
It doesn't count.
Don't apply.
doesn't work the same. Different
Next year they're coming out with Fast and Furious meets Avatar.
They might.
Why not? You know,
They'll have they'll parachute sports cars into the planet with the blue people.
they're going to have to get some bigger sports cars for those blue people. Though.
You know they keep threatening. Disney has Star Wars and the Avengers now.
Ooh.
Oh, they're gonna put them together? Oh, I hope not.
Lord have mercy.
Well, look at where, Guardians of the Galaxy, everything, they're out in
Yeah.
space, they're flying around in spaceships.
You know, and we talked a little bit about this last week, that it seems like there's a bit of a lack of original thinking happening, where we keep, hey, that worked, let's do it again. And obviously, if it keeps working, then why the heck not?
Sure.
But, I mean...
Yeah, Purge 5, I mean, if they can sell tickets, they'll keep making them.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, Fast and Furious, it's over $10 billion. I mean, why would they stop making them?
No, they would not.
Well,
Well,
They never did Saturday Night Fever 2.
I think they
Yeah, they
did.
did. They?
Yeah.
Well, the marketing sucked.
you just missed it. And somebody said a while, or quoted somebody a while ago about back in the good old days, they cared about the movies they made. And you go back into the 30s,
Well,
and they were just cranking those
yeah.
babies out.
Yeah.
The actors were slaves to the
Yeah,
studios.
we see the ones they cared about and call them classics. But Andy's right, there was this whole culture
Yeah,
of just.
you look up some of the directors that were
Yeah.
working in those areas, and they made 160 movies.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I mean, they just cranked it out.
And
Because-
none of them are ones that you've ever heard of.
Well, they were, there was no TV. People went to the movies. It was a nickel. And you go to double, triple features. The kids would be like, parents like, okay, hang out at the movies all Saturday.
Right.
That's-
Well, I almost hate to say this one, but at the theater right now, we've got Fast and Furious 9, Boss Baby 2,
Right.
Peter Rabbit 2, The Purge 5, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, that's his second one, and then Queen Bees is the only...
And Queen Bees is kind of a reconfiguration of Mean Girls, with
Yeah,
old
it's the
ladies
same
instead of
concept, yeah.
teenage girls.
Did you see it?
So not too much, we're talking about the originality there, it's
Yeah.
just...
It's
Yeah,
hard.
except for
It's hard.
Tarantino, there isn't any.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a sad statement.
Well, you have you have a built-in safety net there if you're
Yeah.
making a sequel, if the first
Well,
one
also,
does...
it's the bean counters who call a lot of the shots rather than the creative.
Well, you got $200 million, like in
Yeah.
Black Widow, you got $200 million on the line.
Right.
You can't be piddling around, or you end up with something like, what was it?
Waterworld.
Waterworld, or what was the one about John Carpenter, Mars? Just enormously expensive movie,
Yeah.
and it was just, was a terrible
Was
movie,
that kind of
actually.
the end of his
Yeah.
career?
When Wayne,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne's World does better than Waterworld.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, good morning to Gordon and Shannon, also joining us on Facebook Live.
Yeah, again, like I said, that's kind of a risk you take, like Waterworld. I mean, that was original.
Yeah.
Very
it was.
much so.
And then
Yeah.
it just, and then we were looking, Boss Baby 2, but that came out a couple of years ago. I mean, that was original then.
I think Waterworld kind of epitomizes the concept of why you shouldn't be involved in, addiction to illicit drugs and making movies at the same time. It's just my opinion.
Well, and who came up with Abe Lincoln Vampire Killer?
Yeah.
I think it was his wife, actually, if you look back historically.
What were they smoking when somebody came up with that idea?
That
Some bad stuff, yeah.
That was a pretty well-produced movie.
Yeah, I liked it too.
Remember, this is the zombie
But they
expert.
made a rip-off of that came out like 2 months later, called Abraham Lincoln versus the Zombies, and that was terrible. So you've got things down at this level, but there are always things below that.
Never challenge worse.
Yeah.
And you thought you'd watched some obscure movies. Wow. Well, now, we're almost out of time, so real quick, what news coming up next week? Anything?
Next week, Space Jam.
Space
Space
Jam.
Jam.
Yes, Space Jam.
Another repeat.
Another.
So if you've ever wanted to watch NBA athletes compete side by side with cartoon characters,
But that was 40 years ago.
Sure,
At least.
yeah.
We'll give them that one. So they waited a long time.
the original Space Jam was a long time ago?
Yeah, with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't
So-
40 years ago. That would have been
90s?
30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
30.
Sorry, I'm old enough where I don't want you to exaggerate that.
I added an extra decade.
I was just talking the other day with a guy that, we were talking about the Phoenix Suns and how great they're doing right now. And I was hearkening back to 1993 and 94, and I used to have press passes and would go to all the Suns and Cardinals games, and how much of a treat it was to interview people like Charles Barkley and some of those folks back then. And then I was just waxing nostalgic, feeling very good about the world. And then the guy that I was talking to said, "Yeah, I remember that a little bit. I was in elementary school." Anyhow, anyway, what else coming up this month? We have faith-based movie coming up later this month, right?
Yes, actually a week from tomorrow, yeah, Luther. Yes, Luther.
Oh, and good.
This is about Martin Luther.
Yes,
Luther,
and
yes.
produced by Thrivent, which is the Lutheran. It was a very accurate movie.
Yeah.
Joseph Fiennes is in it. Is Peter Ustinov in that? I think.
Wow.
Sure.
I can't remember if he was.
This movie was produced a while back. If he
Yeah,
was.
I can't remember. It was either Peter Ustinov or somebody like him.
Some other Peter.
Some other, yeah. No, but it's a great movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I will definitely see that. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And hats off to the Sawmill Theater for everything that y'all have been doing when it comes to the the classic movies, the faith-based movies, and you're always doing fundraisers for the community. And you've been through a pretty, I think the technical term is crappy last year because of the pandemic, and things are finally getting back to normal now. So I think we all owe it to the Sawmill Theater to get out there and watch a movie.
Yes.
And
Eat more popcorn.
and especially today, order a lot of popcorn today.
Oh, jeez.
You'll find out why when you get there.
You're so mean.
I never told you I was nice.
Never
I'm delusional people.
Never came up, actually.
That's right. Anyway, we appreciate you joining us, and we just want to leave you with all of this talk about movies today with one last